next steps for if you're interested in investing. Now, I can open it up to questions now. I saw a few comments in the chat from Kevin, but those are mostly fun ones. Yeah, so anybody want to start asking questions, please go ahead, feel free.
Do we have to ask in the chat or can just ask?
Just go ahead, just ask us.
Hey, Zach. So just, everything is, obviously Mississippi is a good market because I think everything is changing everywhere else. What's your confidence level for, like, what price growth do you envisage based on like what you've seen in Mississippi area last 3-4 years, which I know has been good? Would you expect that to be the same, or do you expect it to be better?
Well, I do expect us to be able, like, I do have us selling at a higher cap rate, which is I have it at 6, which I feel is a fair, assessment on where things have been, and so I think with that market and seeing where there is a deal right now that it's a little bit nicer, but has some similar age units that they tried to sell to me for $100 a door recently, and I did not. I'm like, I'm not interested in that deal. I'm interested in that deal. I think saying that if I was going in here and saying I was promising like 30% IRR and everything else, I think I would feel very uncomfortable saying that. Like I wouldn't feel good telling you that, but saying that I think we can sell this in the low to mid 70s in 2 to 3 years, based upon where things have been, where I believe things are going, and how I think the 10-year is going to basically kind of rock around in the 3s for the next, if you look at the forward curves and all. And so I do believe we'll be able to pull off selling it about a 6 cap. Now, if we like, like I said, if we just turned around and flipped it and just try to sell it right away, we could all make a quick buck, but then we'd be paying some taxes and stuff like that more than we need to be paying. So, no, I'm pretty confident in this. We've bought in a few deals in Mississippi already, and I know that the market's been wild, but I'm constantly being harassed by New York buyers anyway for my Mississippi and Kentucky and other deals. If I could sell something that has in place cash flow in, say, 2 to 3 years, I think we definitely, and we're not BSing anybody. I think so. And so, I mean, like right now we're going to be assuming a loan that's amortizing. So we're not even worried about IO kind of thing. So
yeah, I think that's another advantage. This is gonna be very attractive because the loan on it is so good that I mean, potentially you said that this is only one assumption, right?
So we're only allowed to assume this. After that, it has to be defeased.
You have to be saying, okay.
But currently the defeasance looks about 600,000. We hold it on for a couple years, and that was before I think interest rates went over 3 on the 10-year or whatever, the 5-year. If the 5-year, I mean, like, it's a double-edged sword too. So if the 5-year at that point goes up a little bit more, or it's like you're going to have less defeasance, but we'll be paying down the loan anyway for the next 2 to 3 years. So our defeasance is going to drop down considerably. So
this is fixed at 4.9. So basically, you got
4.35.
4.35. Your interest rate risk is you're taking care of that, right? Because
so the cost of the so Irish Kevin's asking, what's the cost of loan assessment? So there is $55,000 of legal / inspection and some other fees, and a 1% of loan fee. So in all, we have it at about 11. She had it about 13,000 in the MFQA. 113,000 in total is what the cost would be. Somebody's asking about what kind of fees are. We have a 1% acquisition fee and a 30% override on cash flow and profit. No disposition fees, nothing. Just a 1% acquisition fee.
Not that I'm complaining, but most people take 2%. Why are you guys taking 1%?
Because this is the first one we've done this way, and we want to show that we work in good faith, you know. And we as the so Owen, Shaydan, and I are putting in 1.1 million of the money for the 6.4 million. So we're almost like, why you'd be charging ourselves a giant acquisition. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, in the end, if we're all making money, that's what matters. It's not so much that, like, I'm not a fee guy. I'm a profit guy. I'm a cash flow guy. So, but yeah, asset management. Yeah, we do have there is an asset management fee that's on 2% of gross proceeds per month. So, you know, if the property does 100,000, we'll get $2,000 each month. Just making, that's an easy number to just say. But, I mean, obviously it'd be more than that, but just for anybody who want to know. And then the property management will charge about 3%. So what's the all-in costs? It's a little bit vague when you're talking about all-in costs. You'd be more specific. When the distribution starts? Well, we probably would. So if we would close in August, we'd probably not do anything on that first quarter, but we would start on the first full quarter, because we're cash flowing right away. If for some reason we did way better than I thought, we might do a small distribution. This is what we've done it in our previous deals. We've done distributions when it made sense, and we have a pretty good handle on where things have worked on there. So I assume all the irrelevant information is described in the we have a we have a private placements memorandum, which you can read through. Do you have some level of ownership control in the property management? We do not have any control. Well, obviously we tell the property management company what to do. I have a really good relationship with them, but we do not own any of Adcock Property Management. What is left for due diligence is just basically working through the loan, some insurance pieces. You know, there is like one building that's in the 500-year floodplain that we might be able to get out of it, kind of thing. But yeah. So. Well, the purchase price is 10.2 million. Rehab, we have up to 1.8. Closing costs, let me bring it in. Let's see, share. Right. Is that the wrong one? Sharing. Hold on. Okay, I got the right one. Okay. So my sheet does not show the load assumption piece just perfectly. It's hard to put it in there. So my operating capital is higher than it would normally be by about give or take 300,000. So yeah. So here's our fees, our closing costs. Lender fees about 113,000. Legal, we put up to 40, which might be over there. Title about 40. Acquisition fee 102,000. Survey, environmental. We have insurance, property taxes, sewer, such and such. Right. So over here, you know, prepaid pauses, rehab. So like I said, just take 300,000 off of this just to show you, because the original loan was 6.6 when they cast it in 2019, but we'll be assuming it right around 6.3, maybe a little bit less, give or take 10,000 or 15,000. So there you go. See. Let's see. Have you walked all the tenant files and all? Yes. Any tenants on? I'm going to go to Kevin's question first. We've walked every unit, and files have been audited, and there is Section 8 on some units, but that's the only one. The financial statements given to investor be audited with. We use a third-party bookkeeper for them, and we have our CPA look at it every, we check their numbers, and we have our own bookkeeper check them. But then we use our CPA every year, but we keep a good eye on the numbers.
Hey, Zach, this is June. Thanks for the presentation. Hey, I want to ask you that when you're raising rent by 20% for the first year, what's your plan to keeping economic vacancy at around 7% by the end of year one?
So I've raised rent more than 20% recently, and people don't have anywhere else to go. That's part of it. I mean, because there's not enough housing out there. And when we're not talking like, when somebody talk about raising rent 20% and say like a Dallas, we're talking 400, 500. We're talking taking people up $140 a month, maybe $100 a month, to up to $150 a month. It's not it. 20% increase is a big difference on this when you're this low. So when we're this low, it's still, and we're going to be doing, so for instance, like when we do all these ACs, we can say, look, your rents are going up by this much, but your electricity bills are going to go down a lot too. So we're not just going to be like, just eat it, but here, we're going to make your HVAC so much more efficient that it might be a wash for you. So.
Got it. That makes sense. And can you also talk a bit about the supply and demand? It sounds like there's not a whole lot of new constructions going on in this area. And
so the only new builds in this area have been student housing, which is a kind of a blessing for us because they're full, and that means that there's ample staff available in the area. We already found plenty. Like you would think in some small towns that you would have a hard time finding potential staff. Not here. We've already got a number of people identified to be the new property manager, a newer maintenance man, to replace the people on site. And the Adcock actually manages a property over in Columbus, Mississippi currently too, which is only a half hour away. So, but no, there's no, like we've been very good at going to markets where we call them trapped markets, where they don't have a lot of new stock, so that you can have, like, if your population's going up, your occupancy might be going up, or just people are doubling up or whatever. Or in this case, like the students, they'll rent by the bed, but they'll end up coming back. Well, there's probably about 10% to 15% student here, because they go rent at some of the higher places and they're paying $700 a month per bed, all inclusive. But then they come back to this property and they get a 2-bedroom for currently $665, but they have to pay their own electricity, and they have essentially a 4-bed. So these guys, they end up tripped. So there is a lot of, I mean, we if they get too expensive, it's actually a good thing for us too, because then we just pull off. Oh yeah, we have a 2-bed for, let's call it in the future, 750 to 800, it's still a really good deal compared to theirs, and especially when we update the water heaters and HVAC, which is actually a big part of the maintenance cost currently. So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
The roofs, Zach. Any roofs need replacing?
We have 120,000 there just in case when we do we did the Zoom, we just had the drone flying around, and there was that one that had the where the tree had fell through, and they didn't see anything before, but I'm still keeping 120 on deck for any like 2 or 3 or something goes wrong. Just it usually does, and if you know, and better if 120 just sits there and nothing happens, then good on us. So. One of the questions is, you're talking about selling the property to 6% cap rate. A few years down the road, given the inflation and the Fed hiking, if the 10-year yield hits 5 or 6 and stays there, how bad would this deal become? Well, we see the thing is we can hold it if for whatever reason the Fed and everything spikes. We have fixed rate debt right here, so and we would still be cash flowing, right? So we if all of a sudden in 2024 everything spikes. Well, it's not going to spike like that high for that long. The trend of the 10-year, even if the 10-year goes back to its traditional mean of 4%, we're still be able. That's a 200 point spread that somebody would have at a 6%. Even if we had to go up to 6.5 and we go into a 4th year, I mean, we can sit there and if inflation's going up, our rents are going up too. So we'll be able to push on that either way. It's like we are not going to sit there and eat inflation. We're going to push the rents too. And honestly, a lot of people at the bottom are getting in this town are seeing their wages go. There's lots of decent hiring numbers in this town for restaurants and whatever at 15, 16, 17, $18 an hour plus, and that $18 to $20 an hour will afford any unit we have at this property. So there is rubs on some of the other ones, but I think we would just do a straight fee, Kevin. Like that's what we've done in a lot of other places, and we would just start peppering it in, at say 35 to 40, and I mean we could just raise a rent, but there is some rubs. They're definitely on the nicer stuff. There's definitely a rubs as normal. So.
What's the minimum investment amount, and also what's the if you could sell it and obviously make money in 3 years, that's good. But if you could keep it, so what's the horizon for the investment?
So the horizon is we want to sell in years 2 to 3, but we do have a lot of runway that we could sell. We could wait to sell. I just said it's like the question about the market changes. We have essentially till 2029. If the world catches on fire, we're still the lowest right now. We're still like the bottom, and we go up to even like the second from bottom. We're still the second or third from bottom. People are going to rent from us, whereas it may become an opportunity to pick up a student deal or two if they end up getting hurt. So like this town is nice. There's a lot of stuff up there. Why does the owner want to sell the property? Okay. I love this question. Well, they just want to move on. They've had it for 3 years and they can make money. They bought it in the 30s a door, and we're going to buy it at 45 a door. And so, and honestly, they don't know what they have because they've kept the lady who's managing it now was managing it for the owner previous. And they didn't want to go through the work of finding good people to manage the place. So they kept her. She's actually kept it in pretty decent shape, minus the barbed wire, but but it's time for her to move on. Right? She's got her brother-in-law working there, and I believe that she's being generous with his weekend working on what's going on at the property. and I don't believe they're being as efficient as they could be. And I believe that she tried to do right for the most part with the property, but like it's been like, hey, her name's Betty. Go down to the Home Depot and pick up the pallet of whatever. And as you can see, some of the units that Shadan was walking around in is different flooring and all this. We, on the other hand, we could order a container of flooring and just basically set it out on the concrete and just say every unit turn gets this when it needs new, when the carpet needs to go. And then we get more uniformity and less cost. And we have, like I said, we have these toilets and other stuff. We can save so much money on this water stuff. So, but yeah, I think it's the owner just doesn't know what he has. And it's just like, they just want to move their money. I mean, 3 years, like they're moving in 3 years. We're talking about moving in 3 years, right? So, yeah.
You said you won't even, I mean, I think the good thing about this is that even if you don't put that much in it, even as it is, you could just.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We wholeheartedly, I believe we could sell it. If we literally bought it, we could flip it and put it on the market for 10 or more door.
I mean, no,
we'd probably get it.
I understood. I meant in terms of you don't have to put much into the units to increase the rent.
Like, yeah, just like, okay, this unit gets flooring, but that's it. And this unit gets a new couple appliances. This is great otherwise. Or we paint the cabinets, But like one of the things though is that we are going to do whole hog right off the bat is the ACs and the water heaters, because believe a big part of their cost on the water heaters that they do have are not to code. They don't have pans. They're basically sitting a lot of the units, they're just sitting on carpet kind of thing. And that can cause obviously leaks and all other stuff that happens, complaints, and just unnecessary maintenance runs. So thanks, Kevin.
So if the one thing is, if I invest a certain amount and we like, normally it's I would want to get my money back sooner, but if the market is not good and we all want to keep it, when I said horizon, I mean, definitely, I don't want to be forced to sell it and basically not, like what's the,
like I said, we have that option for an extra 3.5 years to 4 years at that point. Like we don't, like I said, if the market is not right we
don't have to
2025, we don't have to.
Okay, perfect.
Right. And then that would be something we would discuss, so when they Chen, I see the current maintenance costs about $1,600 a unit. We reduced to $450. Can you explain why the current cost is so high? Yes, because they've used it as a catch-all for all kinds of things, and they have. And out of 4. Anyway, the maintenance rig is like I was saying, like I've told you guys a few times, that the current lady, she's so proud of her accounting degrees or her prowess, but she puts all like landscaping and extermination fees and all kinds of stuff she puts into just general maintenance costs. And then and then I believe she's like paying her brother-in-law to do the landscaping separately. So they might cut their own grass, but they pay themselves internally, which it's not, I mean, the accounting's there, but like we've looked through it, but it's just like she throws it all in there. And also, like I say, we do these ACE. They have a gentleman that basically he's in his 60s, and all he does, he shows up every day and works on ACs. And he used to work other companies and stuff, like he doesn't do installs. He's not even works for them, but they throw his cost in there. And every day I've ever been there, and I've been there about 5 different days, he's there working on an AC. So it's basically they have an extra hand who's getting paid more to do ACs all over the place. So when we go replace about 190 to 200 of these ACs, because they have replaced some of them, that guy basically will retire. So and then we'll that'll take care of that. So, and honestly, we're putting out the rent numbers that we are at, but we believe we could, like, Adcock is really bullish on this. The owner of Adcock almost bought this property himself the last time it came up for sale, but these guys bought them to, they thought at the time it was just not what they wanted, or they were too busy with something else, and they were sad to see this one get away. And I talked to the supervisor, Ellen, with Adcock, and she said, let's get it. Even before I could say the price, she said, let's get it. She was so excited she knew about this part. They walked it already, and they had good insights on the whole thing. So they know that, Starkville is a decent town. So, and Owen was there too. He's just like, wow, there's a lot of things there. So he's like, everybody's like, you got Starbucks, you got good restaurants, and there's just people out doing stuff. It was crowded for even in the summertime. So,
Hey, Zach, from a due diligence standpoint, how's the sewage or the condition of the sewage for a Class C property like this?
I mean, we didn't really see any real backups or anything. So, I mean, it didn't, there wasn't, I'm not sure what you're getting at other than pricing. Sewage always costs more, but.
No, that's just for Class C properties, 1970s. Typically, one of the biggest problems is sewage that costs a lot of money to repair.
Is that like galvanized and such, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is a couple of the older buildings that had some galvanized, but they really didn't see a whole lot of damage. And there is a good section that was built in the 90s too. So those aren't a problem. And then all the intake lines almost all the intake I saw are copper. So I really didn't see a problem too much. I mean, there was a couple units. You always have a couple units that have there is one where we might have to put a French drain, which isn't sewage, but it's drainage. We have to finagle a French drain through a brick retaining wall to prevent it from, potentially having foundation issues during the hold. But that might cost us like $20,000, but that's kind of in the realm of land, exterior work and stuff like that. We'd make it happen. So I mean, some of this stuff I over budgeted, I think, for roofs, but other things so I can move it around a little bit on the rehab, because we're going to go in there well capitalized. So
cool. Thanks.
Okay, we're just hitting about an hour, so I can probably take one more question, and then I think we got to go. Okay. All right. So, all right. Anyway, so here's our QR code. We are on the cash flow portal. So, anyway, please check us out. We'd love to have you as part of the deals. If you need to schedule a call or something like that, there's Shay's information's on there. Anyway, and I do believe this will be a very good introduction to a lot of you into a very cute tertiary town with a property with a lot of upside. So, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Snowy, do you want to leave it for a couple more minutes? this is Owen. I'm just Zach. It's such an awesome presentation. I'll be the co-GP for this project. I feel bullish about that too. There's a couple of ways to think about this whole project. There's basically like a few categories about how to do the value add about the whole project. One is first is obviously it's mismanaged. Like there's at least like 250K cash flow we can save after updating all the HVAC, the water heater problem. That translates to like 25% value add. Second one is, as Jack mentioned, if we are just going to flip it, I mean, we bought it at 45K per unit, and it's probably we can sell like 55K, like 10K per door profit. That translates to another 20% value add. These are not counting about the rental hiking. And from our market research, we tour around the local. The location is awesome, like just off the business street, so which should be able to attract lots of working class people there. And to us, we feel very confident we can raise the rent $100 to $150 a unit. That actually translates to another 30% value add. So you counter all these sectors, it's roughly 80 to 90% value generation there. And then you think about, oh, how about the financial, uncertainty, interest hike? I mean, we go back to 2008, 2009. The most average property value dip for multifamily is around 30%. But remember, we already have like 80, 90% value add here. And, definitely we can, shield off, even if we have the 2008 financial crisis. And then how about like stagflation, like interest rate is high, inflation is high. Well, if interest rate is high, we can boost our operation, rents. The only drawback of there is we probably need to hold a little bit more, and which we have a 7-year fixed loan at 4.35%. So that kind of like just to take out all these scenarios, which that's why like I'm pretty bullish about this project too. So
Thank you, Owen.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I know you wouldn't be in if you weren't. So
yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, I mean one information we want to give you that on that day when we do the due diligence, I and another lady did come out to do like check the neighboring apartments rent. You know what? We called like 15 plus complex. All of them said no, there's no vacancy, and that indicate this market is pretty reasonable. Pretty there's a lot of room to raise the rent without doing much. So.
Well, great. Yeah, you were a big help out there, Owen. So, but yeah, and anyway, but yeah, that's it though. We've got about an hour and 7 minutes now, so let's call it a night. And
thanks, Jay. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.